Welcome to Debating Your Dollars, where two financial advisors have two opinions with one goal in mind, helping you make sound financial decisions about your money. We have notes today. We have, actually, there's 5 opinions we're going to discuss today. And there was an article that we're using. We can link that, and there's going to be graphs and stats and things that have to go along with this discussion. But what is the best distribution method and income idea or income stream from your retirement portfolio? Believe it or not, there's more than one. And we're going to discuss those and see which ones work the best, both from a philosophical standpoint and from a statistical standpoint. Niko, Director of Financial Planning with Hoffman Wealth Management, and I'm looking forward to his insight because he is a newly minted CFP, which is a Certified Financial Planner, and he's going to have a lot of insight from his studies and his experience that he can add to this discussion. So I'm excited to hear what his opinions are. I'm just leaning on 23 years of experience and what we've seen work for our clients. And quite frankly, all the methods we're going to talk about have been effective when it comes to our clients. So, Niko, first, let's talk about what those 5 alternatives are, why they're the most talked about and the most successful, and then we'll dive into which ones we like the most.
Yeah, and I think a big portion here, too, is which ones work and for what clients. Because I would say, just going down the list here, we've seen all 5 of these.
Sure.
And we use all 5.
We've used all 5. Yeah. We've executed all 5. It's interesting to see which one yields the least.
I totally agree.
And I was surprised as to which one was providing the lowest amount. And when we say lowest amount, not just income, but income combined with what your average account balance ended up with the scenarios. So before we get too much into the details, Niko, can you describe what the scenario is, what's being created, what the baseline is, so then we can go from there?
So this used the last 75 years of the market. So you see everything from 2008 crash, tech wreck, the whole way back to the Great Depression's in this?
Well, it's 75 rolling 25-year period. So it's 100 years. Some volatile times. Yeah. We had a financial crisis. We had a depression. We have had world wars. We have had presidential assassinations. We have had the rise and fall of governments and philosophies when it comes to those governments. It's easy to pandemics.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about when was the Great Flu? That was 1918. So that was that before this, but
this is Model T to F.
COVID, right. You're right. We're going from the birth of the car to the fastest jets imaginable. All kinds of scenarios are included in here. The good, the bad, the ugly. And we're going to talk about what portfolio distribution methods have helped folks have a great retirement and live the retirement that they've tried for.
So just to set the scene, it's a $1 million portfolio.
Yes.
It's in a 60-40 balance, which is 40% large cap, 20% small cap, 30% bonds, 10% cash. It includes investment fees, investment fund fees, advisor fees, annual rebalancing, and taxes and inflation.
They're not counting for taxes and inflation. So we're not changing the allocation. We're not getting more conservative when the market is wild. We're not getting more aggressive when it's sure this is a static 60-40 with 10 of that 40 being cash, not even bonds. It doesn't indicate if it's like money market or T-bills, but it's saying cash. 1.25% cost of the portfolio, which is a pretty standard average when it comes to advisory fees and the cost of the investments. So in the 5 methods we're analyzing are first, a fixed withdrawal of $50,000 a year, which is 5% at the beginning of the withdrawal period. $50,000 over 25 years, from $1 million portfolio start. The second method is a $50,000 withdrawal in year one, but then increasing that with an average inflation of 3% for the next 24 years. So years 2 through 25, we're giving a cost of living adjustment to the portfolio or to the distribution amount. The third is, now listen, I hate rules of thumb. It's terrible financial advice to just say, well, the good rule of thumb is, listen, our lives are all so unique that rules of thumb should not make sense.
Yeah.
However, one of the most common rules of thumb for a portfolio distribution method is the 4% rule.
Yeah.
And taking 4% of your portfolio balance from the prior year and taking that as a distribution for the upcoming year. Turns out that it's a rule of thumb for a reason.
Yeah. There's a lot more behind the scenes on that one. So there's dig into it.
There's another rule of thumb, which is the 5% rule, which is the tad bit increase, which is taking 5% a year of the portfolio of your previous year's balance. And then the fifth strategy, which ironically is the one that we seem to be discussing the most, which is taking your required minimum distributions and RMDs for the entire year. Newsflash, spoiler alert. The RMD strategy turns out to be the worst. Surprise, surprise. Government and the IRS don't have your best interests in mind when it comes to the income from your portfolio. I don't know if anybody is gasping or grabbing their pearls when they hear that, but no surprise to this reporter that was the worst strategy.
So, what do you say? Just go top down here?
Yeah, let's go top down. Let's just lead into each of the few and talk about what we like and dislike about these strategies. First, fixed withdrawal, $50,000 a year for 25 years.
It's about middle ground.
It's
third most successful of the five.
Third most successful, and the successful meaning success can be measured a lot of ways here. Your income never changes. You never had to worry about your income. You never missed a payment.
Yep, through downs, highs, everything.
Right.
There was always a flat payment.
At the end of the portfolio period, you have the most amount left. Now, if that's your goal, is to have $50,000 a year and leave a nice nest egg, this is what did it.
Yeah. And I would say this is for people that, more run into, say, pretty lackadaisical 80s through 90 in this scenario, because what we know right now is that Applebee's, we go get a burger and fries, it's going to be $16.
Right.
At my retirement, I'll probably pay $64. It's probably laughable, but it's realistically,
if you have the goal of paying your bills and leaving a nest egg, you get to see what your options look like.
Yeah.
It yields the most from an income and ending portfolio value. And what I mean by that is a combination of what you were able to take and what that ending average account balance was over those 100 years or over those 75 rolling market cycle periods. It had a pretty low failure rate.
Yeah.
Only 1.3% of the time did it ever fail.
Yeah. And that's probably, you're talking the worst of the worst. Right. Going in retirement during the Great Depression.
Right.
Right. Like that.
Your retirement was the day before the Depression started.
Yeah.
So the day before the financial crisis.
Because this is the lowest withdrawal amount over the years, right?
Yes.
What's interesting is it's lowest withdrawal amount over a 25-year period. And there's still a failure rate where other strategies in this actually withdraw more over the course of its lifetime and don't have any failure rate.
Right.
And that's because when you do a flat distribution, say in the Great Depression, so your account went from $1 million down to 600,000 during that period, right? 99% of the scenarios, it recovered. You did fine.
Yep.
You hit every goal in retirement and you got out. But with a flat distribution rate, or amount, I should say, during down periods, you're going to stress your portfolio,
yeah.
right? And this was including when they had bonds and alternate assets that were not, directly correlated to stocks, but you were stressing it out in down markets still.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next strategy, thumbs up, thumbs down on $50,000 a year for 25 years.
Psychologically, I'm giving it a thumbs down. I think that clients, I think if they say they're taking $50,000 a year every year for the next 25 years, I think they're like,
I don't disagree. They may be kidding themselves.
Yeah.
As to what the world's going to look like. I agree with you. I don't like it, but it does give you listen, the most amount of money gives you the most options.
Yeah.
And the most amount of freedom.
Yeah.
We talk at length that one of my core values when it comes to my money and financial decisions that I make is freedom. This gave me the most. It maybe requires a bit more discipline on your spending.
Definitely.
Which some may not view as freedom. I don't know that I would, but it does. I'm kind of middle of the road here. I don't think it's realistic to live on the same income from beginning to end of retirement.
That's why,
especially because they're fixed withdrawals.
Yeah.
You may need to withdraw less in your 90s than you did in your 70s when you want to travel and see the world.
I agree.
So, but it's not average. It's fixed for each of those years. I agree with you. I would give it a thumbs down only because I don't think retirement is meant to be lived that way. Now, the next strategy, I would give a middle of the road thumb because we're taking that $50,000 a year, we're indexing it 3% each year for inflation.
Yeah.
So some years you may be outpacing inflation with that distribution strategy. Some years you may not be keeping pace. But what do we know? Inflation's average has been very close to 3% a year historically.
I think this is what most people imagine in their minds in retirement. It's probably this strategy, right? Like, I want this amount increased each year so I can buy that burger and fries at 85.
What's wild is what your average annual withdrawal amount ends up being.
Yeah.
Because what we know about average means there's been years, half of the years were greater and half of the years were less. Average withdrawal per year of $73,000.
Yeah. So in the last year, you're withdrawing almost 100. In the beginning, you're withdrawing 50. So yeah, in coordination, you need your portfolio to grow at that point, right? You're heavily relying on decent market returns and a good period. I think that's why you see the failure rate on this one. It's not high, but it's the highest. Yeah, it's a 10% failure rate.
So the question you have to ask is, are you comfortable with this strategy, knowing that it's going to fail? It may fail 10% of the time.
Yeah. When you say 10% too, I'm thinking, what makes it sound worse when you say 1 in every 10 clients will fail this year? That makes it sound way worse.
Right. You're right. That makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
You got to think about
that. Makes my gut.
You bat 900, everybody's going to remember you forever. But
yeah.
That's not
that doesn't work.
I'm a little less inclined to like this strategy now. It also has the second most amount of time that your portfolio was below where you start.
Yeah. And that's because it's not showing, and we'll get their strategy, we'll show here in a minute, but in a down market, let's say in your 10th year of retirement where you've been taking distributions and your distributions are increasing and then the bad year comes, right? No one can ever predict when something like 2008 is going to happen. You're really stressing it. If that was the last year of your retirement, and the market got 40% downfall and you were withdrawing $100,000 from your portfolio, you're really stressed.
Yeah.
And I think a barrier with this test too is the psychological, there's no psychological client barrier. It's I think a client would struggle to stress their portfolio and actually request that distribution if that happened. And that large of a distribution, at 90 especially. And the other half of it too is this kind of just shows a straight increasing distribution rate with them. I think more often than not, a lot of client distributions actually follows more of a smile curve. And then towards the end of your life, it starts picking back up because you have medical expenses. Maybe that, final trip, health's not so good. And that, hey, I don't know how long I can go on a 24-hour plane flight. I'm going to Australia this year, because I don't know in the next 7 years if I can do that. So this follows that straightforward uptrend. I would say that's the least common spending. Expenses will go up for the average stuff, but I would say in the middle there at 10, 15 years into retirement, probably when spending drops to the lowest typically. Just because, like I said, you cross those bucket list items off. Now you have, grandkids.
Different bucket list.
Yeah, you have a different item now, which may not be traveling to Alaska and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was actually, even though the failure rate was higher, was more inclined to like this because it was giving you a bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Until Niko hit me with still 1 in 10 clients are going to have, and I kind of, we like, you're not, navigation formula is not designed to help people fit.
Yeah.
So, I would, I'd be most inclined to give this one my worst rating as well because of the high failure rate that entails. The next one, the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
You don't need financial planning software. You don't even need a yellow legal pad.
Yeah.
You just need the calculator that we were told we weren't going to have in our pockets everywhere we went, but now we do because of the iPhone. But 4% year-end portfolio balance for the upcoming year. It's the only strategy that has 100% success.
Yeah.
You start out with less than what you did in the first two scenarios.
Yeah.
It may even be the scenario where you start with least. I don't know the answer to that, but depending on what the RMD calculations would have been. But you end up with an average annual withdrawal of 77%.
I think it's a good gauge for like finding that number. I think it's a really helpful number because retirement to me is not an age.
Right.
It's a math problem, right? Like how much income makes it worth me not going back to work tomorrow. And I think it kind of helps clients figure out where they are and if they're on track, especially as we get closer to retirement, where they can kind of figure out, hey, I got to save more. Hey, I'm right there. What's the exit plan look like? I think it's a really good gauge for that. That's why it's a benchmark, I think, in most scenarios. But in terms of actually drawing from your portfolio, I don't think it's the most useful strategy because it goes against what I just said with the SMILE strategy. You're most likely going to spend more in the first 5 years of retirement than the last 5 years. In the middle is going to be kind of the drought, right? Now, that doesn't mean you can just go and spend 50% of your portfolio in 5 years. That is not what we're saying.
What I like about this is you haven't been fallen victim to your emotions when it comes to your portfolio.
Yeah.
What it does show with all these scenarios is what's the meme from Michael Jordan? When it comes to falling victim to your emotions, when it comes to your portfolio, stop. Get help. Because we don't need to be doing that. Yeah. I know that they reign supreme sometimes, but this is shown over the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Through all of the things we discussed, all of the markets that if you didn't fall victim. So this one, when times are good, your income's higher, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I think that's what. So there's an average withdrawal amount in this, and it's the middle ground one. But you're gonna have some crazy average withdrawals. Think about like the last 3 years, but 3 really good years of the market. Like this strategy, you'd be loving it right now because the market's heavily outpaced your withdrawal strategy.
Right. 2008, you were rethinking.
2008, you're like, why am I getting half and what?
I lost 40% of my income.
Yeah.
What is
that? I'm going to go get a part-time job like that. So it doesn't. It helps because you're not withdrawing a lot in down markets, but in up markets, you're taking a lot of money. So your retirement happiness is really tied to the market at that point, and that can be very unhealthy.
Yeah. Between both the 4% and 5% withdrawal, 5% does have a higher average withdrawal.
Yeah.
Does have the second lowest amount that you've taken, also the second lowest amount average ending account balance.
Yeah.
So you end up with maybe a more enjoyable retirement. The net is only $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
So that's $500 a month. Maybe you drive a nicer car in retirement.
Yeah.
That's about it. This is not cheap. You are not altering the course of your retirement by a ton when the average withdrawal amount difference is $500 a month.
And I think one thing that the 4% strategy does really well is like you're really passionate about like leaving something to your kids. this strategy has the next highest ever ending balance. And obviously, based on the chart, you had more in the end. But with the 4%, you paced inflation. You can buy that burger in Exuma.
Right.
And at the same time, you still left a pretty healthy amount to your kids. Really, after adjusting for inflation, you left the same dollar amount you started retirement with to your kids or your family or whoever it was, charity, to kind of go on and start from there. So if you're passionate about leaving estate, I think 4% is a really smart strategy.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think that in up years with a 4% strategy, you should be a little bit more careful and leave a little bit behind if you don't need it, because we know that down year is going to come eventually, and that'll give you way steadier income versus just taking, my portfolio is down 20%, I'm going to take 4% now, which you take a 20% pay cut versus my portfolio is up 20%, I'm going to take 4% now.
I'm going to take that this year. So into 2007 versus the end of 2008 were two
very different
portfolio years.
Yeah.
And you were taking that 4% off the highest amount.
Yeah. 5%.
Yeah, let's 4%, 5%. I have the same attitude about them.
I give it a thumbs up. I just don't think you should forcibly spend that income in up years.
Right.
If you don't need it. Like, sure, if you just got a 20%.
Forcibly, right.
Yeah.
Or forcibly take it if.
Yeah. Like in that world too. So say you have that dream trip and you're kind of like on the edge of taking it or not. And you just got like a 20% investment return.
That's the time to think. Well, tax wise and things are good. Prices are up too.
Beware that down year is going to come. And eventually, if you're following the percentage income rule, you're going to have smaller income in the down year. So you just have to, that's a better feel for us. That's the question we get is like, hey, where are we at in the market? What's going on? It's very hard to predict it, but markets follow cycles. Right. And typically, we can figure out relatively where we are in the cycle and give our best predictions moving forward on what's going to happen.
So the last one, just taking your RMDs every year.
The search my soul.
Mine too. It's folks hate them.
Yeah.
They don't like them. We know why they don't like them. If there's evidence for anything in what we're about to discuss here, it is evidence for the need of lifetime tax planning.
Absolutely.
Because, and again, I know it's no surprise to anybody, the IRS doesn't have our best interest.
Yeah.
And taking your RMDs had the highest annual withdrawal amount over a 25-year period of $110,000. Not just the highest by
almost
like 30%.
Yeah, like
by $27,000.
Yeah.
That's like 30 to 35%. That it's double the 50,000 over 25 years, and more than double. I mean, it has you drawing the most and left with the least.
Yeah.
So it is. The irony, though, is this: it has a 0% failure rate.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. They're using actuaries to
figure out 0%. Now, it does have the highest amount of time your portfolio is above the starting balance.
Yeah.
It was above 81% of the time. Still not bad.
Yeah.
But below 19% and below more than any of the other strategies. I hate this strategy. I think I understand why the RMDs exist. It's not lost on me. This is money that's never been taxed, and they want to get it taxed. I get it. But the philosophy of using your 401k and tax deferred or pre-tax strategies that you are going to be in a lower income tax bracket when you retire is a complete fallacy.
Yeah.
It's a flaw. Ideally, you're not. You ideally you are because you've done lifetime tax planning.
Yeah.
But it's why in your 40s, you should be thinking about what are my distributions in my 70s look like?
Yeah.
And nobody is. Well, let me rephrase, not nobody. We're having a conversation about wealth management about lifetime tax planning. But thinking about that, the irony is I've had discussions with clients and prospective clients, and their advisors have said, no, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, that's
a big tax bill. You don't want to pay that. And it could be.
Yeah.
It could be a big tax bill that year. But over the course of the lifetime, we have seen the evidence that taxes can be lowered when you consider a lifetime tax.
If done correctly, this works.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. This works if done correctly, because set the scene for the people that are only taking RMD based withdrawals. Typically have a pension, have large
Social Security sufficient.
Yeah, Social Security sufficient.
Have a luxurious retirement. Which is, listen, we're West Pennsylvania.
Yes,
folks are not interested in luxury.
Yeah,
we are a very unpretentious part of the world. I love that about where we live.
Yeah.
So they're not thinking about spending this money.
Yeah.
They're nervous about, listen, we watched steel mills close and jobs. They're nervous about things like that.
Yeah.
So they're not spending until Uncle Sam says, time to spend.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Sam's having you spend at a much faster rate than any of these strategies. And you're trying to time distributions that are based on the previous calendar year.
Yeah.
Let's use 2008 for an example.
Yeah.
Your portfolio in this instance was down 30 to 40%. And if you were in your 90s, you had to take a very large percentage out for a requirement distribution.
Yeah.
Based on your 2007 portfolio value.
So it could have been, if you had $1 million portfolio started in 2007,
right?
It gets stamped on December 31st of 2007. I'm just helping them understand this. And then at 90, I don't know the number exactly, but it's around 15% is the distribution rate in 2008. So now they're taking this distribution
50% on top of a 40% loss.
Yeah. They take 15% of $1 million in 2008, but the market in 2008 dropped that $1 million portfolio down to 600,000. And now they have to take 100. You're taking a 25% distribution. I would say the other half of this is like ultra high net worth, or even just in general high net worth people that have either, say, rental properties, say pension, whatever it is, or just have bigger accounts where they don't really have to really even stress their portfolios. They're kind of just living off the interest. You're paying so much more in taxes for no reason because they're forcing you to take it out on top of your rental properties, on top of your pension, on top of any investment interest from a brokerage account. And you're just piling it on for no reason and taxing it at a way higher rate. And you're leaving nothing behind. Well, not nothing, but less behind.
You typically are, I say this about 401ks all the time. They saw us coming.
Yeah.
They saw the baby boomer generation coming. They have seen us coming.
Yeah.
And this is not a strategy that's designed for us. Now, take solace in this. Of these 5 strategies, none of them kill a portfolio.
Yeah. They've all done well.
Your portfolios stay active and growing and providing retirement income. Now, my favorite strategy, you've alluded to it, it's not in here.
Yeah.
And it is taking that smile-like spending approach and applying it to your retirement portfolio.
Yeah.
And knowing that early and later are going to be where we spend, and crafting an income strategy around that. Crafting an income strategy around what your financial goals are. Putting your financial goals to the strategy and finding out, am I going to achieve my goals?
Yeah.
Because we've had to have the hard conversations.
Yep.
We're not going to get there this way.
Yeah.
And adjusting the goals. But that's much better than saying, well, this is what I have to take.
Yeah.
Because that's not what we're put on this planet to do. No. This is what I have to do. Let's start with what the goals are first and see if we can get there. And if we can't, see what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And then from there, apply that smile approach and have a customized withdrawal plan. These are, quite frankly, all 5 of these are rules of thumb.
Yeah.
One of them is a rule. That's why it's called a required minimum distribution.
Yeah.
It's a rule. The other four are rules of thumb that clearly can be effective. There's room for more, in my opinion, when it comes to a rule of thumb. There's room for much greater retirements. There's rules for maybe much earlier retirements.
Sure.
I think that exists, but
there's very different. Just for example, pick the 4% one. You're saying I'm going to do the 4% withdrawal. All right, no, you need a roof. Right. Let water flood the top of your roof, and because you can only take 4%.
You can only take 4%. Right. There's a lack of flexibility and reality there. Yeah. So I'm rules of thumb. They can be useful.
It's a benchmark for a reason.
Right.
When it comes down to the nitty gritty, you want to have diversity of investment accounts. You want to have diversified investments. And you want to have strategy knowing what income's coming from where and the best tax bracket and how do I solve lifetime tax planning.
Lifetime tax planning, that's not related to a product. I want to make sure that's very clear.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I should buy an annuity, or we should be considering cash value of life insurance as our investment strategy, or I should only use a Roth. That's not what lifetime tax planning is. I think Niko and I share this opinion. The most valuable asset when it comes to wealth management in the United States is the dual income tax bracket.
Yeah.
Is the married filing jointly tax bracket.
Yeah.
Because it gives you a lot of range to do lifetime tax planning. That's what lifetime tax planning is. It's not an investment strategy or a financial product.
Yeah.
That some may sell that as.
Yeah. I mean, it's in a one statement. It's I've accumulated all this money. How do I make it worth the most?
Yeah.
That's really what it is with hitting all the income I want, hitting all the goals I want.
Not just with our money.
Yeah.
When inheritance too. The new rule with the 10-year number on IRAs and they think, I'm just going to take 10% a year. And all of a sudden you get to the 10th year. And after a market cycle like what we've been through, you saw a big chunk of money left that gets taxed heftily.
Yeah.
Rather than using those tax brackets to make the distributions make the most sense.
And even being on the flip side of that is, you're at the end of your life and you're spending money. It's like, all right, what's going to be the most valuable to the charity or my kids or how do we make this work? Because say my kid's the CEO of Amazon. I need him an IRA. Roth IRA. Right. I'm his favorite person when I do that. What when I spend, okay, it's going to push me up a little bit in taxes, but my heirs are going to be worse.
Right.
So I might as well spend it because if not, then they're distributing their government's just going to take it from them. So
I hope the one thing that folks take from this is there is no one size fits all strategy. These 5 left money in the portfolio. I'm confident there's other strategies that can be a bit more customized that will still help you have the retirement that you want, help you have the flexibility and freedom you want, and still leave the legacy that you want as well. Thank you for watching this episode of Debating Your Dollars. I hope you enjoyed this as much as Niko and I enjoyed making this and having this conversation. If there are any other topics that you would like to hear us talk about, or even get other professionals involved in, please let us know in the comments what questions you have and what topics you would like to see discussed.